on-the-spot application opportunities for those of you who visited the Halfway Tree location today. The purpose of this event, of course, is to help individuals like you who are in the diaspora and also our fellow Jamaicans at home when it comes to understanding the journey of home ownership. And that is why I have joining me today Allison Morgan, who is Chief Executive Officer of VM Property Services. Say hello, Allison.
Hi, Leighton. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for taking the time today to join us on our VM podcast. We really want to help you to become homeowners, to get your piece of the rock here back home in Jamaica. So listen while Leighton and I take you on a journey of how this 146-year-old stalwart institution can help you to get it right and to make it seamless to become a homeowner in Jamaica.
Thank you so much, Allison. But you know, Allison, I started off and I completely forgot to introduce myself. And one of the reasons why, because I also must apologize for the late start because we had some technical difficulties. So my name is Leighton Smith and I'm Chief Executive Officer of VM Finance Limited, one of the SBUs of VM Group that is located right here in the United Kingdom. I'm also Vice President with responsibility for the overseas offices. What does that mean? It means that I have responsibility for the welfare of you or members who are sitting in the diaspora. Now, why is it that we're hosting this live event this afternoon? Because it's important that we connect with you Jamaicans who are abroad, because you too have that dream of home ownership when it comes to piece of the rock. Very often, and many institutions, including the government of Jamaica, have realized the importance of the diaspora when it comes to the growth of the land we love. And therefore, this component of the keys to your dream VM home and auto journey is dedicated to you, our diaspora members, because throughout this session, we're going to be offering practical, relevant guidance on how it is that you can finance, purchase, and manage your property in Jamaica from abroad. So once again, welcome to Owning a Piece of the Rock, a guide for diaspora buyers. Now, I am going to be sharing a presentation with you. So as we move to the presentation, I invite you to be sure to have your pen and paper, jot your questions down, or write your questions in the chat, and we will be answering them at the end of the presentation.
All right. So, Leighton, while the presentation loads, I would just like to jump on here to just, bring to the fore a common question that we get asked all the time. And, in our discussions, you've told us that you've also gotten these questions. And is it even possible to purchase real estate without being present? And my answer to the members of the diaspora is absolutely. Leighton and I and our respective teams have collaborated on so many transactions that we have not seen the person live. And it is through mediums like we're using now, which is technology, that has allowed us to do that. So yes, the short answer is absolutely. You can purchase real estate without coming to Jamaica. We will use our technology to have the realtors go to the property, to have these video calls with you so we can confirm identity. We will utilize the experts that are available on both sides of the transaction. So in Jamaica, the attorneys, etc., just for the piece, and in the UK, the notaries public and the barristers to assist you to be able to get the transaction going. So you can search for the property digitally. Your realtor will guide you. You can view the property digitally using various social media platforms and handles, WhatsApp, video calls, Zoom, etc. So process the mortgage digitally And Leighton will share that, where if you're not able to go into one of his locations in the UK or in Florida or in New York, then you can also submit it online and we can process everything for you. I mean, it is 2025 and we need to have the technology working for us. So we're going to go ahead. So I prefaced the presentation with, I want you to understand that what we're going to show you now is valid to you, even though you are not here at home in Jamaica. It is valid to you. It is possible. And we at VM will ensure that we walk you through the process and get you home. So without further ado, let us try and share this presentation. I know we might be having today, but let us get you going. So give me one moment and I will share. All right, I think we should be good shortly. So let me know, just drop your comments in the chat, guys, and let me know if you are seeing the presentation so we can continue. All right, awesome. So whilst Leighton rejoins, we're going to start with who we are and why are we here today. So we're going to start with the VM Building Society, and we are going to tell you a little bit about who we are. So mutuality is in our DNA. Mutuality, what is mutuality? What does that mean? You know, so like, aren't you a bank VM like all the other banks? No, we certainly are not. So we are a building society where Victoria Mutual rebranded to VM. So you'd see our new logo and our new colors, etc. Mutuality means we have a beneficial relationship with you, our members. So it's mutually rewarding. So our dream is to help you in the diaspora to achieve financial well-being by ensuring that you are in financial decisions. The great disparity for a lot of persons in moving from one generation to the next and improving their lifestyle is really how well they make decisions today that their future selves and their future families will thank them for. So the VM group has expanded over time. When we started in 1878, which is over 146 years ago, we have since expanded. We started with the VM Building Society, and our whole intent and purpose at that time was to help Jamaicans who were coming out of slavery, who were coming out of a rebellion, because we were started right after the Morant Bay Rebellion, to recognize that together we can join, we can build, and we can lift each other up. So the Building Society was formed, and throughout the years, we have continue to expand our suite of services. So today we have these companies that you're seeing on your screen here. So we have the VM money transfer services, and a lot of you in the UK and in the US and Canada, you would be familiar with these services because you transmit funds through various partners that VM money transfer has, Zoom, RIA, etc., and you send funds back home. VM Foundation is a philanthropic arm of the VM group. And indeed, this is one of our most important business lines. Why? Because we believe in lifting and carrying with us. There are persons who don't have access to certain things, and we believe in equity, and the foundation is ensuring that we continue to give back. It's just who we are. We have VM Innovations, which is our fintech arm. We have VM Wealth Management, which is our brokerage and investment house. So all things stock exchange, bond trading, capital raises, IPOs. So if you have a company and want to take it public, then we can certainly assist you with that. We have VM Pensions Management. So it is as important to plan for the now as it is to plan for the future. So we offer solutions for retirement planning and pension funds management. And we have VM Finance, and Leighton would have introduced himself as the CEO for VM Finance in the UK, which specializes in mortgage lending. We have VM Property Services, which I am the CEO for VM Property Services and the real estate arm of the VM Group. So we do all things related to real estate and land. So real estate sales, rentals, leases, if you want to buy a property, if you want us to sell a property for you, if you want to search for a property, if you want to do a property valuation, if you want to get a surveyor's ID, if you have a commercial property you would like to get managed, we can assist you with that. And we have VM Investments Limited, which is our investment company that is listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. That's a
Great.
mouthful.
A mouthful. Thank you so much. So let's go into our purpose here. And as we expressed earlier, the purpose is, of course, is to help those who desire financial wellness. And what we're doing is that we're going to be combining our expertise with, of course, the value-added solutions that we provide through the various SBUs that Allison just shared with you. Now, many of you would really recall when you were much younger, you had, as Allison would say, one of the orange books, and I had a blue one, Allison, right? It was a savings account. And the thing about it is that for every stage of your journey, there's a product that suits your need. So when we used to go, my branch was Ligony, Allison. Which one was yours?
Half a tree.
There you go. There you go. And through our School Savers program, we encourage the idea of thrift. That is, of course, encouraging people to save. And therefore, as we move from childhood to young adulthood, then, of course, we have our tertiary education or scholarships that, again, which are provided through VM Foundation to date. We then move to adulthood when it comes to buying a home or investing. And we start to think differently because we now begin to have children. So we think of their education for them. We then think of retirement because we're getting middle age. We want to pay off the mortgage. We want to make sure that we have that nest egg. And of course, when it comes to retirement, we want to preserve that wealth. So again, these are all the steps along the life cycle, all the dreams that we have. And of course, within the VM group, there is a product that we have that can suit that need. However, remember, we're talking about the experience today. Go ahead, Allison. You wanted to share something there?
No, I was just supporting your point to say, absolutely, that is what it is about, the experience that we're charting for you, the curated, personalized experience. Because at VM Leighton, we do not have solutions that are predefined. It is important to speak to each person one-on-one and understand where they are in their financial well-being journey, because no two individuals have the same experience or the same desires. So it is really a personalized experience.
Exactly. And that is why you have to tap into the VM experience, because we understand, as we say, as it says right there, the intricacies of home ownership, and no one's experience or no individual's experience. Yes, there are similarities, but it's a different thing for each and every one of us. And we know that home ownership, it starts with that desire. It starts with the desire that is passed on from generations to generations. And one thing is for sure, again, no two persons have the very same experience. In fact, last year when we visited Canada, a lot of the individuals, remember, Allison, they shared with us that their grandparents were the ones who had the generational wealth, and they were then looking to see how it is that they can leverage that wealth so that they can begin to invest back in Jamaica, whether it is to start a business or whether it is that they want to own a property. So how can VM help you to tap into that experience? Well, the secret of getting ahead is actually getting started. One of the things, Allison and I will tell you, that we have seen that has really stumbled a lot of individuals when it comes to ownership is procrastination.
Yes.
Isn't that the case? Yes.
That is so true. Yes.
Mm-hmm. They sit and they said, you know, I want to. It's a dream, but they never put the dream into reality. No. Very often we say to individuals that when it comes to home ownership, it starts with that dream. And the very first thing that we must continue to do is to continue to save. We must. Savings is important. Why? Because there's certain costs that you are going to have to pay when it comes to home ownership. And those costs we're going to discuss further. But when you save, it means that the strength of your dollar or the strength of your equity will help you to get on the property ladder much faster, much sooner. So at VM, we have the perfect saving options for every individual. It's in an account known as iSave, but we have a specific one known as iSave for Home because it's designed with a consistent deposit commitment that allows you to have a structured savings plan to accumulate that deposit we're talking about without the temptation of withdrawing it. One of the things that we often say is that we must pay ourselves first, right, Allison?
Indeed,
And how we
indeed.
pay ourselves first, Ali?
By investing in our future selves, by ensuring that the first thing that is taken from your income, whether fortnightly, weekly, or monthly, is a minimum of 10% towards savings and investment for future goals.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. We have to invest in ourselves, sacrifice something, put aside more than that 10%. We used to say 10%, but nowadays it's much more. If you can, put it away, right? And when you're able to do that and you put it in an iSave account, you notice there it's a dedicated monthly savings plan. The interest is calculated daily for greater returns, sorry. And you have that flexibility whether you want to save in US, Canadian, sterling, or Jamaican dollars. And at the end of it, you'll be able to access special mortgage benefits. Now, the mortgage journey, it starts with a dream. Yes, we have the dream and we have the desire. But the very first thing we say is search. Why search? Well, as it says there, one of the greatest benefits of being part of the VM group is that we have expert partners, expert colleagues. And this is where Allison comes in. And Allison, what you'd love to tell them about when it comes to searching?
So what
Yeah.
I'd like to say to persons in the diaspora, and this is particularly important for you as you are not here to do the search yourself. You are not here to access the resources to validate the authenticity of the property that is being offered up for sale. The search is simply not just logging on to a website, so you go on to vmpropertyservices.com and you filter and you look for the type of listing that you want, whether it's a vacant lot, it's a house in Ingleside in Mandeville because you like the cool air coming from the UK, right? Or it's a strata in Montego Bay. But the search extends beyond that to engage in the services of professionals in the real estate journey, and in particular at this stage, utilizing a realtor, a licensed individual that is authorized to conduct real estate transactions. So one of the most crucial steps is to reach out to a reputable brokerage house, such as VM Property Services, to ensure that you are transacting business with a legitimate company and a legitimate person. We've seen the advent of AI and we've seen the amazing but frightening things that AI can do. And we have to make sure that all the work that you did for all those years in the snow and the sleet and the rain does not go to vain because you did not utilize subject matter experts. So your search is going to be anchored around using a realtor who will introduce you to other professionals that are required for the transaction. And this person will have a discussion with you about what it is that you're actually looking for. They will raise points to you that you perhaps did not consider. We're asking you a lot of questions. How often do you want to be near a metropolitan area, built up area? Is it that you prefer silence? Is security a concern for you? Do you prefer a smart house or you prefer something more rustic? Do you want something that is focused more on ecosystem and protecting the earth and the environment? So the search is more than whether it's a 6-bedroom or a 3-bedroom or it's a strata. It's also about your preferences and your desire. And it's also about giving you guidance, because we have a lot of persons sometimes who do not understand how the real estate landscape has changed in Jamaica. And we need to get you current with the things that are now happening in the space. So simply put, you need to search through an expert who is on the ground, who is licensed and regulated to give you valid information to help you make the decision for a transaction that is usually the single largest transaction and investment that you'll ever make.
I love that point, Alison. Thank you for making it. Particularly, all the points. But the one I love particularly is the current situation in Jamaica, the current
Yeah.
state. Because what I've found is that a lot of persons in the diaspora, they have left Jamaica and their affinity is strong, but they remember a lovely district. It appeals to them. And as you said, working in the cold, the snow, the sleet, you long for that. But the reality is that very often what they have in their minds, that picture, it has changed. And sometimes, and a lot of times, for the better, it has changed. But the reality is they are unaware of the current state. And you have said it, it's important that they seek out professionals in your field, because that is how they are going to secure what is ideal for them.
Correct, Leighton.
So one of the things, though, I've seen it, a lot of persons, as you have mentioned, they want a 3-4 bedroom home. Is it a case where you always have to go for that dream home?
Absolutely not. And this is
As
why.
your first purchase. As your first purchase. Sorry, go ahead.
Absolutely not. You can go for the dream home if it suits your journey, where you are on the journey map that we mentioned earlier. But also, Leighton, persons need to understand that real estate is a gift that keeps on giving. And
Agreed.
when you purchase real estate, guided by professionals in an arm's length transaction that is authentic and gives you great return on your investment, over time, you can benefit from a multiplier effect. So you don't have to get your dream home immediately. Indeed, what you can do is get a starter home. You can perhaps lease it out. You can maybe even do short-term rentals. And whilst it is appreciating in equity, you can continue to save, and maybe in another 3 to 5 years you will go back and have a discussion with both your realtor and your financial advisor at the Building Society. And he said, okay, I'm here now, I have equity in the property, I would like to move to something else. Sometimes, lately it could be that you've decided that I no longer want to stay in residential and I want to sell the residential and maybe even buy a commercial. So you don't have to go for what is in your mind immediately. You can start and work your way towards it. It is, in fact, a journey.
Yeah, it's important. It's important that we recognize that in terms of realizing that it's a journey. Now, one of the pitfalls we have seen also, Allison, is that there are persons who will travel down to Jamaica and they will travel with a friend, and sometimes they walk through a development and they then go and they say, yes, this is something I can do, and they go and make an offer, and they don't take up the services of a realtor. What have you seen where that is concerned?
Oh Lord, those are the things that I pray don't happen Leighton, because you run the risk of giving your money to persons who are not even the legitimate owners. You run the risk of locking yourself into a contract for which it is not to your benefit. There could be terms and conditions in the contract that you're not aware of, simply because legalese is a little difficult to understand. You run the risk of not having any legal stand-on to hold the developer accountable. There's so many things that are wrong with that. If it is you decide to pull out of the contract, then you might not have seen a clause that says you're going to be losing 50% of your deposit. So I urge persons all the time, before you part with your funds, let the professionals guide you, let the realtor guide you, let the attorney guide you, because you want to make sure something as simple as, is there a legitimate title for this property? That's something. We have a lot of title fraud going on. We have probate properties. You might be engaging someone for a purchase, and yes, that person might be the legitimate owner and they have the right to sell, but guess what? The property is the subject of a legal dispute, and there could be caveats that have been lodged against the property, but because you're not aware of this, you are not an expert and you didn't engage an expert, no one was able to do a title search for you to tell you that, listen, this transaction is not going to go through, because there's a dispute in the Supreme Court and we have to wait on the resolution. And we know how long resolutions and arbitration can take to
There you
happen
go.
in the justice system. So you could find that you would have given over a deposit and you're waiting upwards of 12 months, 18 months, not earning any interest, and you're unable to get back your funds. So I really wouldn't want that to happen to any of the prospective VIA members and our current members. So I urge you, please utilize the professionals, allow us to help you.
Exactly. And then once you utilize the professionals, and here's the situation. If you notice there, before you go and you take your hard-earned cash and you put down a deposit, these are the things you need to note when you're making an offer. The location, as Allison said, the price point, the down payment. Is it going to be 10 or 15? Can I afford it? What are the financing terms? Because that's when your realtor is going to say to you, you need to go get a pre-qualification or pre-approval. There are also costs, as Allison made mention of. These are closing costs, the closing date and possession, the expiration of the offer. And one of the things that I have also seen, Allison, and we noted, is that quite a few of our diasporans, they have purchased homes in their adopted countries. And by that, I mean the countries that they currently live in now. And that purchasing experience is a completely different one from Jamaica. And you'll see a little bit of course, when we speak about that later on. So you have to plan for those things. You have to plan for the expiration, and you have to plan for contingencies, because that, of course, is critical. Then now it comes to, after completing the search, securing the property. So what is the mortgage process? Well, there is pre-qualification. Pre-qualification now is when we look at affordability. Can you afford this property? Then there's the application. Then there's adjudication. That's when the risk assessment is done and the application is reviewed. And if you are successful, then there's acceptance. Or at least when you are successful, there's the acceptance of the offer. Then we register the interest, your interest and VM's interest in the property. And of course, after that, there's a disbursement of the loan. So there is a process that takes place. What is it that lenders look for? There's two main criteria: your ability to repay. So we're going to look at your income versus your expenses, and we're going to take into consideration the potential mortgage monthly payment. Now, we know our people. We love our people, right, Ali? And we say this from time to time.
We do.
Yeah, man, I cannot eat now, as we say, ban my belly, and I can afford it. But guess what? We know you must live so you can pay the mortgage. So we do this assessment in terms of looking at every activity, every legal activity that yields you revenue. Yes, we consider it as income. And one of the things that happens is that, sometimes we hear, some of our Jamaicans say, but, I collect this little money, but I don't necessarily want to put it down or pass it through an account. No, it is important that you show the trail whenever you get this money. So if you can bake very well, if you are a cosmetologist on the side and you are earning income from it, be sure to have that income, because when we're doing our assessment, that is how we're going to be able to prove that yes, you have this income. The second thing we look at is your attitude towards debt, and this is reflected in your credit report. Now, as you know, the credit report comes with a score as to how you have treated credit in the past. So, did you pay your bills? That is something that is important. Unfortunately, again, a pitfall and as a challenge we have seen for quite a few in the diaspora is that they have taken out credit for friends and family.
Yes.
And in taking out credit for friends and family, unfortunately, their credit score has gone terribly downhill. And therefore, now it is that they want to make, as you said at the outset, Allison, the largest asset purchase. That is something that is extremely important for them. They are unable to because of a poor credit score. Yeah. But again, if it is that you have challenges, we want you to come and speak to us. Go ahead, Allison.
So I wanted to just dovetail from that, Leighton, and just add that as a reminder, it's not just a credit score in your adopted country, it is also your credit score in Jamaica. And I know there are a couple of persons that might be opening their eyes really wide when I said that. And yes, that is the truth. Because you're
Yeah.
doing a transaction in Jamaica, we're also going to be pulling the credit score here for you. So if it is that you have an amazing credit score in the UK or the US or Canada, but you had unsettled obligations here in Jamaica, then we would need to get those settled. So this is a reason why we're having these discussions with you today, because we want to present all the different facets of the journey that we want you to look out for. So if it is that there are things that you had intended to settle in Jamaica, and because you migrated and life happens and it's really difficult trying to acclimate to a new space and you just didn't get back around to it, we're encouraging you now to revisit it. And if you're not sure, you can actually log on from where you are and you can request your free credit report. So all Jamaican nationals are entitled to one free credit report every year. We have 2 credit bureaus operating in Jamaica, and we will share that information in the chat. So you can actually go to any one of these websites, you can upload the documents that they ask for, and you can actually get your credit report emailed to you right there in your home country. And sometimes, as we know with all things, there are errors and omissions. It could be that you really left a perfect credit report or record here in Jamaica, and for whatever reason, let's say you had paid off a loan, a student loan, a credit card, and it did not get transmitted to the credit bureau because errors happen. We want to give you enough time to contact the institution and the credit bureaus to have these matters resolved. Sometimes it could take upwards of 3 months for this. So we do not want you to wait until you are ready and we found the house and my realtor find the house and we video call you and you're in love with it. And then Leighton put in the application together there, and then he pulls the report in Jamaica and we see something that causes us to have to pause and go, oh, how can we make this happen? So the best defense is a good offense. So we want you to fix the credit both in your adopted country and in your country of birth.
Excellent point, Allison, because not only it may come to something that they have forgotten to deal with, but even when you think simply of utilities. The reason why I say that is that sometimes for investment purposes, there's some diasporans who will have Airbnb or they would rent other properties back home and they have the utilities still in their name. And even though they may have a permanent tenant, what may happen is that, tenant may not be paying the utilities on time.
Yes.
Or at all. And that's again, that impacts the individual when it comes to their credit, overall credit rating.
Yes.
So
I'm glad you mentioned that, Leighton, because it is absolutely important for persons in the diaspora to recognize that utilities in Jamaica that are in your name, that information is transmitted to the credit bureau. So where you might not have a challenge per se with the electricity based on how oilers are and the new occupants are able to go and get the electricity transferred, you are not able to do that with the water supply. Right? So you would not want that to be coming on your credit report. So we're urging you to just exercise vigilance. And if you need to make changes in your personal situation to protect your local credit, then we encourage you to do so and do so quickly.
Great, Allison. So on the ability to repay, what we're going to do is that we're looking for your proof of income. So if you're employed, you notice your job letter, your pay slips, bank statements, P60, for example, or any other tax statement. For self-employed individuals, financial statement, their bank statements, their tax return assessments, and of course, the status letter of any of their existing loans. Attitude towards debt. Again, we highlighted that we want to see something, really in the fair category. Again, if your score is poor, improve your payment habits. If you have any collection accounts or any outstanding debt, then repay those. Try to reduce total debt and avoid taking on new unnecessary credit. And of course, a lot of times persons going to take the payday loans. No, Try not to do that. It really doesn't work well for you. Now, when it comes to mortgages, it's important that you be prepared for all the costs. There's some costs that are one-off. That's going to be the deposit, for example. We will tell you, dependent upon the contract that we spoke of earlier, that is the sale agreement, the vendor or the seller can determine how much they want from you in terms of a deposit. Usually we see this ranging anywhere from between 10%. There's also the credit report fee that we just highlighted. There's a processing fee that is also associated with the loan. And there are also some professional fees associated with the reports, such as the surveyor's ID reports, mortgage registration costs, and stamp duty. Now, for VM members, we have a customized mortgage financing of up to 90%. If you're taking a foreign currency loan, you can get this between 6 and 8%. And if you're taking it in Jamaican dollars, then of course, we have a special now between 8.75 and 9.95%. Allison will give you a rebate of up to 15% on the valuation that has been prepared by herself. And you're getting dedicated and knowledgeable staff. And when we say FX loans, we do offer foreign currency loans in Canadian, sterling, and US dollars. Now, how much can I afford? This is impacted by several factors, and your mortgage representative will advise you of this. We're going to take into consideration your down payment, how much it is that you're putting down as a deposit. We also do something when it comes to a calculation that is known as loan to value ratio. It simply is what percentage of the value of the property is being borrowed. So if it is that, for example, the property is valued at 10 million and it's being sold for 10 million, and you are going to put down 1 million, it means therefore that you're going to be borrowing 90%. So the loan to value is 90%. So the more you put down, then the less you will borrow. And then we also look at what is called a DSR. You may hear a person speak about that. It's called debt to income. We look at how much of your income is covering debt. So we're going to look at your credit cards, your car loans, any savings, any, well, not necessarily savings there, but we take into consideration that you have, but what actually is covering debt in your salary.
Indeed.
Any thought there, Allison?
Absolutely. So I want to zone in on the second point, the loan to value ratio. It sounds a little complex. So you did break it down. But what we didn't say, Leighton, is where do you get that information? What or who determines the loan to value? That's where I come in. So that is a critical piece of information that is found in your valuation report. So your valuation report is one of several extremely important documents that will be required in your real estate purchase journey. You must get a valuation report to present to VMBS as the lending institution from a reputable valuation company. How do you know who is reputable? How do I know all the various professionals and how do I validate them? So for the valuation companies to be able to conduct and offer valuation services to the public in Jamaica, the valuation company must be licensed by the real estate board. So the real estate board is the government regulatory entity in Jamaica responsible for real estate oversight for everything from real estate sales to valuing to developments, etc. So you can actually go on the REB's website and you can see who is authorized to do valuations. In order to have a valuation company, we must have someone who's trained, who is what we call RICS certified. And to verify RICS certification, you can also go on the RICS website. What is RICS? The irony is that Leighton, RICS is located in England. So RICS is the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, and that is the international body that trains persons on how to do valuation reports. So when you come to VM Property Services, we are RICS certified, we are licensed by the real estate board, and we can offer valuation report for your purchase, for your sale, just anything that you need to get the information on. And when you're looking to buy, we are going to tell you what is the recommended loan to value ratio. So Leighton will now look at that piece of information and say, okay, the VMPS valuation report says The property is worth $35 million, and we are recommending a loan of 95% of the $35 million value. And then he will use that in determining how much he's able to lend in collaboration with your debt service ratio. All right, so we will continue. So I've heard, you've heard about the...
Excellent, Allison. I was there.
Okay.
I was there saying yes. It's a good point. I never realized that in
You were
trying to move
muted.
the
Okay,
slide around,
so
I was muted.
over to
But
you.
thank you for that.
Yes.
So, in moving on, then one of the things that we're looking at is that when it comes to borrowing from the NHT, is that possible? Yes, it is. You can combine your NHT benefit with your VMBS loan. There is a program known as a joint financing mortgage program. And of course, you can visit our offices, you can visit our website, and we can tell you much more about that and how it is that you can access your NHT benefit to combine with your VMBS mortgage. Now, here is something that is extremely important. Should I apply as a single or joint applicant? Now, the main concern here is affordability, because if you are a single individual, can you afford to purchase this property on your own? If it's a joint application, then you need to keep in mind that the joint applicant's income and credit history will also have an impact on the outcome as to whether or not you're able to get this mortgage. So the very same things we ask of you is the very same things we'll ask of your joint applicant. Now, something else that is important, you need to be absolutely certain you wish to have a joint applicant on your property title, as it can be very costly for you to have that individual to be removed. You notice we said on the bottom, this is a decision that should be thought out carefully. While we can provide guidance, the decision is primarily based on your motivation and your needs.
Agreed, Leighton. And if I might just add here, if you do the analysis and you recognize that, okay, I really want to go ahead, and the individual that you are, or persons, several persons, could be 3 or you, 4 you, that you're joining with, you might not have any reservations because it's your parents, it is your siblings, it's your spouse, it is your children, or other extended family members, and you are absolutely sure that you want to go ahead. You still have options in determining the ownership based on the tenancy that you choose. So again, this is where you need the experts, you need the realtor, you need the attorney to guide you on these decisions, because we know as persons over time, our sensibilities change, how we have relationships will evolve, but we want to ensure that irrespective of what changes might occur in the future, you will make decisions today that your future self will thank you for. And it could be as simple as choosing tenants in common as opposed to joint tenancy.
I'm telling you, my acronym to remember that: tenancy in common, take it to court. Tenancy, yes, that's a simple way to remember. So
exactly,
what you have is yours. And we know a lot of persons actually, even married couples, have tenancy in common. Yes. What is yours is yours, and what is mine, some say. So what is pre-qualification? Now, this is where we do a basic review of your income and credit worthiness to determine how much money you can borrow. It's very often, Allison, confused with another word, pre-approval. In the diaspora, we tend to do pre-qualifications through or rep offices. Why? Because we do not do the detailed process as what is done in Jamaica. And remember now, for those who may not know, the adjudication process actually takes place in Jamaica. So because you're in Jamaica, you can walk into a branch and you can get a pre-approval done. But in the diaspora market, a pre-qualification is just as good. So Allison, I'd love for you to confirm that point, particularly from a real estate or a realtor standpoint, because when you get that, it's just as valid for you, isn't it?
Yes, this is the key to unlocking the journey. So I have a colleague that says, going property shopping or house shopping without a pre-qualification letter is like going to the supermarket without your wallet. You're not going to be able to buy anything. You can't do anything. So that singular piece of document, that one letter that Leighton and his team are going to give to you is what is going to unlock your ability to be a serious contender with the property. Indeed, now in the Jamaican landscape, you have persons who do not allow you to view or submit an interest in the property without you showing them that you would actually be able to afford it. And we can understand why. Demand and supply would dictate that we have more buyers than sellers for property.
Mhm.
So if you put up a desirable property and you have 250 persons who've sent to say, hey, I would like to view this property, it's just not physically possible. And viewing in itself from the vendor perspective is an expensive process. So we want to make sure that because we are moving ahead with alacrity and we want to entertain serious persons and not have persons who really are ready to move left out in the cold, then the vendors usually ask you to show them that you are a contender. So your pre-qual letter opens the door for persons to allow you the viewing physically or virtually. Because you might be saying, but I don't need to get the pre-qual. I'm not there. I'm going to view it. What's up? My realtor is going to view for me. Well, your realtor, who is representing you as your agent, will not be able to get the viewing without your pre-qualification letter. So that is what unlocks the keys to your home ownership journey.
Great. And so a key reminder there, it's not a commitment, but it, as Allison says, it unlocks the door for your journey.
Yep.
Right. So here are some key takeaways because we're just about finished. It's important that you identify the right property for you, not for your friend, not for another family member who's not going to live with you, but for you. Ensure it ticks the boxes on your search criteria list. And this is where Allison and her team members come into play, and they can assist you greatly when it comes to identifying that right property. Again, be sure to inspect the property. The real estate agency, again, plays an important part here. And even with your realtor who is going for you, you can send a trusted friend or a relative if you don't take the flight down to see it. Be sure that your finances are in order to cover all your costs, the deposit, the closing costs, the fees, the charges. And this must be done within the agreed time. Why is it that we said the agreed time? You are purchasing a property that is thousands and thousands of miles away. And if that is the case, what happens is that very often when the documents are moving to or fro, granted, yes, we have advancing technology and we can make things much easier. In the diaspora, we're impacted very often by weather conditions, snow days that block us from going out, you know. And what happens is that your sale agreement is time bound.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, don't get the documents in your hand and say, yeah, but I can go do it tomorrow when I'm going to work. Because it happens. And not realizing that it has an implication when you're heading out to work tomorrow and something happens and you're unable to get the document signed. And that's why it's important that you ensure that you pay everything on time, sign all the documents on time. It's also important that you select the right mortgage product for you. Have a clear understanding of the lending process. So speak to your realtor, speak to your mortgage advisor, and take the time to go through the sale agreements and all other contracts. Comply as quickly as possible. Again, your time is your money. And here's something else. The buying and selling of property in accordance with the prescribed rules by the laws of the land. So there is no shortcut, my friends. There's no quick fix. There's no friend. There's no man who can just do a thing. It is a process. I say Allison cracking up. Because,
because I have heard the stories of my neighbor's son, brother, friend, and I'm telling you, please do not do it. And yes, on the outside looking in, it might be that this person was able to get through, but you do not know the specificity of their particular transactions, or you don't know if afterwards the government is going to come back and say, hey, this was not done properly, because
Yeah.
they do have that remit. I just wanted to quickly, Leighton, go back to the third point, because it is so critical. I want us to understand that real estate transactions of the essence, and where passage of time occurs, you could lose money. So I know in the UK, oftentimes when we remit the documents, because we must get your wet ink signature for the documents to be legal, persons would have to make appointments with notary publics, etc. And I'm just encouraging you, please ensure time is of the essence. Ensure that you make those appointments. You send the documents over. You have to also be mindful to work with persons who are flexible. I'm here in Jamaica. It's just 5 o'clock. It's nice outside. Leighton is on in the UK, and it's very late for him, almost bedtime. So you have to factor these things in place. So you might say tomorrow, which is tomorrow for you, but when you translate that to the time zone in Jamaica, this is now 2 days that have passed since the documents would have been sent to you. And also, you could actually lose money, and you could actually be caused to spend more money. Let me give an example. Most sale agreements would give a clause that says you must advise the vendor within 7 days if there are any breaches or encroachments on the property. Failure to do so means that you are absorbing all the cost of remedying any such defect. You can only know if a breach is there, or an encroachment, or an easement, or an encumbrance, whatever it is, any defect, from getting a surveyor's ID report conducted. Those reports usually take about 3 to 4 days. So if it is you need to respond within 7 days of signing your sale agreement, and you wait 3 days in the UK to reach out to me in Jamaica to say, Allison, I need a surveyor's ID, you would have already lapsed half of the time. And to correct a breach in Jamaica starts at a minimum of about 250,000, and that's for the simplest breach, where you might have a eave overhang. So my friends, please utilize the time, allow us to guide you. When we impress upon you the importance of moving with alacrity, then we have to go. So that is why sessions like these are important. So we prepare you. So when we start, it is full speed ahead, Leighton.
Agreed, Allison. Thank you for that. So to close off, here it is how you can find us in the diaspora markets. So we have our UK office. We're in South London. That's 380 Brixton Road, SW97AW. You notice our telephone number, it's there. If you're reaching out to us in Florida, we're at 2600 South University Drive. That's in Miramar, Suite 109. 33025 is the zip code. And if you're in New York, then visit our New York representative office, 300 Cadman Plaza West. We're on the 12th floor, 1 Pierpoint Plaza. Again, the zip code for that office is 11201. And then there are the toll-free numbers that you can get to our Member Engagement Center. And of course, you can email us at manager@myvmgroup.com, or you can visit our website at myvmgroup.com. Certainly, let me now stop sharing so you can see us. It has been a wonderful afternoon with you. And I'm really happy that Allison was also able to join me. Allison, we have a few questions. So here's one. It says, from Real Dancehall Fan, I have an iSave for home account, and he's been saving a good amount in there. I'm not going to say, although you put it in the chat, you know, I'm going to say, but you're saving a good amount, man. Respect for that. For about 6 months now. I'd like to know some of the benefits. I've seen a few on the site, but is there more? Well, it depends on the particular type of iSave product that you're in. One of the things that you said that is iSave for home account. So when it is that you're ready to get the mortgage, then what would happen is that we will be able to tell you the special rates that you'll be able to receive at that point in time, because you're saving towards a specific purpose. So within the group of companies, what we would also do is that you'll benefit again from, for example, we mentioned the rebate that VM Property Services provides. You'll get a special mortgage rate at that point in time, and there are other product bundles within the VM Building Society that will extend to you at that particular point in time when you're ready to take out the mortgage. But you're doing a great thing, man. Keep saving. You look like you're going to get your goal in no time at all. Real Dancehall Fan.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Go ahead.
No, I said good stuff. It's so encouraging to hear persons saving, because the truth is you do need your personalized cash injection. And that is usually the single most prohibitive thing, because it is a little difficult to come up with
It is.
5% of the property price. You know,
It
if you're
is.
looking at a $20 million property, then
It is.
that is quite a lot of money. It's $1 million,
Yeah.
right? So this, I'm encouraged when persons say, I am saving. So real Dawson Fog, kudos to you.
And that's important again, Alison. And that's why we're saying with persons now, let's start. You know, we know that one cocoa full basket. We know
Yes,
these things. And
yes.
if we put aside a little amount every month, then what it means is that we are going to be successful when it comes to that goal. Alison, this question looks for you. It says, how can you support me in finding and evaluating properties without me being physically in Jamaica? How is
Okay.
that process handled? And how do I know if I have a trustworthy realtor or attorney if I'm not in Jamaica?
Okay, thank you for that question, Leighton. So I actually touched on this in the presentation earlier. So you can validate the persons by going to the various websites for the individual professional, and you can determine there if they are authentic and licensed. So for real estate agents and brokerages, you can go to the REB website, and my colleagues will put the information on the website in the chat. So you can actually go to the REB website and you can type in the person's name, you can type in VM Property Services, you can see the agents that are attached to us, and you can also go on our website and you can see their photographs. So you know that they're legitimate, right? And they're not some AI connected persons. So you can validate the realtors there. You can validate the attorneys by going to the General Legal Counsel. So you can know if this attorney that you are engaging to represent you in this conveyance transaction is authorized to do so. So renewal of professionals is done annually. So it's not a situation where you might have known an attorney when you're in Jamaica before you migrated 10 years ago, and you're saying, okay, let me go back and I use Mr. Brown, who was in the town at the main square. It could be that Mr. Brown is no longer authorized to practice. So you have to ensure that you check General Legal Counsel. You can check the Jamaica Institute of Quantity Surveyors. So there's a slew of websites that you can go to that the government operates that advises the authenticity of the professionals that you're engaging. So that's part A of the question. Part B, how can you support me in finding and evaluating properties without you being physically in Jamaica? Not difficult at all. Again, we will utilize the technology to our advantage. So you'll reach out to us first, well, to Leighton firstly. So that little magic letter that unlocked the door, the pre-qual letter. So you're going to reach out to Leighton first, and Leighton is going to do the assessment for the pre-qualification. Because before we can start the property search, we need to know the price range of the property that we can search for based on how much funding VMBS will be able to give you. So you get the letter, and then Leighton will send that over to us, and we will connect you with a realtor. We will have a discussion to determine your prerequisites. What are the things that are important for you? So we can curate a checklist for the property that you're looking for. And once you find the specific property, then we will arrange the viewings, and your pre-qual letter will get us through the door. So we'll arrange the viewings for you. And then once we've landed on the particular one, that is the property that we will do a valuation on. So the other properties that we look at on the list, let's say we found 4 that were potential, we will do assessments on those. We will do the research. We look at the areas, etc. But the valuation is usually only done on the specific property that you decided to put an offer on.
Excellent. So how do you know that your realtor is trustworthy?
Well, I can't speak for any other realtor, but the realtors at VM Property Services are absolutely trustworthy. We're regulated. And if nothing else, the VM group does not have a trust deficit. We've been doing this for 146 years. We've weathered storms, wars, and economic crises.
Right.
You know that when you send your funds to Jamaica, it's in your account. You know that when you speak to a realtor from VM Property Services, you are speaking to someone who is abiding by the laws of the land, someone who is licensed to dispense real estate advice. And if you so wish, you can actually come into our offices if you're here in Jamaica, which is another important thing, Leighton, and I'm so glad you brought it up. Persons who conduct real estate business by law must have a physical office. If you're negotiating with someone and you ask them, so where are your office? Where are you located? And they're not able to tell you, that's a red flag. They're breaching the law. The government says persons must be able to come to you to transact business at a physical location. VM Property Services is located right next door to our flagship VM-based Halfway Tree branch. So you can access us by coming down Halfway Tree Road. When you're standing here late, and I know you probably don't know what it looks like, but if you look up the road, it's the clock. So that's
there
where
you go. And that's an excellent point, Allison, because our diasporans are very much connected. And there was a recent article, as you know, that was published in the paper. But it's important as well, the very same way that we do our due diligence on banks when we get a anonymous call and we say, no, let me hang up and let me call you back. It's the very same way you should do the very same thing. If they said they're with a particular real estate agent, then pick up the phone and call them.
Yes.
Go through the internet, search for the company's name and find that individual. And so you call the company, and then you ask for that individual. And then that's how we know that you're doing your due diligence, just to make sure that the person is trustworthy.
Absolutely.
Right? And again, when it comes to attorneys, there is always a Jamaican Bar Association that you can definitely go and you can do your checks there as well. So, Allison, we have another question. I'm not so sure how this one, but Espo says, do you have situations where groups are buying together? Groups. I know of groups of, individuals have come together to purchase property, but I'm not sure if you're talking about one group of persons with another group of persons. Have you seen that situation? We're not sure of the question.
I've seen variations of that situation. So let me tell you the most common ones. So firstly, groups of persons usually come together from a family member perspective, like a cluster, right? Or let's say a church or a professional body, and they collectively, unity is strength. And you had spoken before, Leighton, in terms of pulling together so that persons can qualify, etc. So we do have groups of persons that come together and say, okay, we want to buy, let's say, a 20-acre property. And later on, the intention is to divvy it up and each person get an acre or 2 acres. So that is possible. At VM Base, we can process the mortgage for you, I think, with up to even 6 persons on it. And we will give you the criteria for eligibility. So yes, groups of persons can come together. If you're looking to come together to purchase for commercial investments, then absolutely, we can have that discussion through our business banking services as well, because we do support commercial investments. If you want to do a commercial property, whether it's a strata, or let's say it's a commercial plaza or a professional center, we can also have that discussion. So if you go on our website at myvmgroup.com, you can actually select business banking and we can connect you to one of our experts. So we have different variations of persons coming together, different cohorts. We listen to everything. We don't know what would work for you, and we just want to ensure whatever your particular situation is, we hear you out, and then we give you the absolutely best guidance and support we can.
Thank you so much for that, Allison, because again, I was just going to tap into when you mentioned, if you have seen it, or business banking services. That unit we recently launched, and already it's doing amazing things. So if you are thinking about groups of individuals coming together through whether it is a company that has been formed or through an association or even a charity, then be sure to, as Allison made mention, visit our website at myvmgroup.com and check out our business banking services. Allison, it's always a pleasure to join on these presentations and discussions with you. I'm very happy, very elated we got through to the end, and I hope that we provide our fellow Jamaicans in the diaspora and those at home who have been listening some excellent information that they can begin to apply. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leighton. It was my absolute joy to be here today and to share. And just to remind you that the VM Group offers a full service, one-stop solution. We know how difficult it is between being so far away, right across the pond, and then the time zone factor. So we want to make sure that your experience of home ownership and real estate acquisition is as seamless as possible. And that's why we are here. So reach out to us. We have everything in-house, from the pre-qualification to the valuation to the surveyor's ID to getting the mortgage to giving it the insurance, every single thing that you could possibly need with one solid, august, trustworthy company that has been around for over a century. So I'm looking forward to connections coming out of this. Reach out to Leighton, reach out to myself, and let us connect you so we can get you home.
Excellent. You see, I couldn't have said it any better. Have a wonderful evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.